don't want to be pushy. I just, had some thoughts, and so I asked him if I could. And he thought about it, and then he said yes. I said, okay, babe, I'll be ready. Well, then this week, we've had Aaron and Stephanie, Marley and Ethan, the whole bunch, with this all week long. And I had some early notes, but I haven't had a lot of time to study. Well, we had this wedding yesterday, and then when I came home, I was tired. I was so tired. And so I told the Lord, oh, thank you so much. I said, I need to rest, Lord. I'll get up if you wake me up early, I'll get up. He woke me up at 3 o'clock. I got up at 3. I was up to about 6:15. So I'm like, move. I got to move, so I'll stay awake. You know how you get. Amen. It's not anything, but it's just that you're tired. Anyway, I'm gonna set this here for right now. I don't want to sit where I'll get hurt. But anyway, I've titled this Father's Day, "The Role of a Perfect Father." And I just want to talk I'm going to do a prelude, and then I'm going to get right into what I want to teach about. I've got a lot of work, a lot of pages, over 10 pages, so I'm going to have to talk quick. I love Adam. I have to start with him because I think about what Jimmy's always talking about, the seed. He had the seed. And he was in the soil, and God pulled the soil up and made a man. And when he saw he was lonely, out of the man, not of the soil, he pulled a woman out and made a woman. He only made one man. One man is all God ever made. And from that, we got over 8 billion people on the earth today. But God only did one. Talk about a multiplication factor. And then God had the woman gave the man, the man gave the woman the seed, it went on and on like that. It's been like that all throughout time. And I love that because in a way, the man became the source for the woman. Now we know it goes back to God, but without the man, there would not have been a woman. He didn't grab the dirt up again. He made it. It came from the thing. And I thought I wanted just to honor Adam today. None of us would be here, if that hadn't been for Adam. I don't know why I feel weepy all of a sudden. I just feel a weight. And so I was thinking about it when I was talking. Maybe it's tired. You know how you get tired, it makes you a little more vulnerable or whatever. In the end, all I had was close your eyes. I'm going to dismiss, but I'm going to stop at the end. I'm going to give it to you. If you feel the Lord to do something, do something. And if you say go ahead and just pray, I'll end it. I want you to be the father there and tell us where to go next. But anyway, I thought about Elkanah when Hannah couldn't have a child. Elkanah was such a good man. And, she went and she had that situation with Eli, and Eli said, you'll be blessed. And she went home and said Elkanah knew his wife, and she conceived and had Samuel. But Samuel but he knew, because she had told him, well, when this baby's born, it won't live with us. It's got to go back. I've promised to God, if you give me a man child, I'll return him to the house of God. Amen. And so when he did that, what happened was, Elkanah told her, he reminded her when he's going back to worship by himself on that annual visit to Jerusalem. He said, don't forget your promise. You can't forget your promise. And I knew then the heart of Elkanah. He was a man of God. And he honored the word like she honored the word. When the time came, they gave up their son. Yeah. And I loved how they took the gift to him every year. And I think it was a hard time for both of them, but they were faithful to God first. They had that commitment. They honored their commitment. So I wanted to honor Elkanah today. And I love Boaz. I guess my name's Ruth, and so one of my favorite books is Ruth. And I think about Boaz because, he took care of Naomi too.
Sure did. And
he was taking care of Ruth before he was even married to her. He told the field hands, leave her extra handfuls of wheat. And whatever they were picking in whatever field, he told, don't go to the other fields, you might get raped. I've told my men, I've instructed my men not to go near you. And he watched over her. Ronnie, when I met him, he was already taking care of me before we ever got married. He said, your car has a whine. I don't like the sound of it. It sounds like you're going to have some issues. And I was living with Faith and Dwayne at that moment. The Lord had told me to get rid of my stuff, so that meant get rid of everything. And I had gone to live with Faith and Dwayne until Ronnie and I got married, because we were engaged at that point. Dwayne took the car and he said, that thing, that wheel's about to lock up. She's going to have a fire in that car. But Ronnie, it was $300. $300 I didn't have. Ronnie said, I'll pay for it. And he was taking care of me beforehand. He wanted me to have a dress, and he wanted me to look pretty at the wedding. I would have probably got married. I want to get married in pants. He said, you are not getting married in pants. I want my wife to be in a dress. So he paid for my dress. I'm telling you, he was taking care of me before. And you probably know about that. I bet Christopher's done things for you during this time, and you've gotten to know him a little bit. And I just appreciate that about him, honey. Because you were like Boaz. You were taking care of me. You were my Boaz. You were taking care of me. And I love this, and I know that Mephibosheth came from the loins of Jonathan, but David kind of became his spiritual father. Because after Saul and Jonathan were dead, he says, is there any in the household of Saul's family still alive? Because of his friendship with Jonathan. Mephibosheth, who was lame at both of his feet. The Bible says, let me see, I've got it written down, that he came and he ate continually at the king's table and put those lame feet under that table and got to sit at the royalty table. Because David said, I want to honor a friendship. I'll adopt Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth was a very broken boy. You know, and he was so, you know, I think after that injury when they were trying to escape, he had self-image issues. But David didn't see him that way. He wanted to increase him. And he brought him to his table and had him sit there. It blessed me because of that. And you know, the Bible says that Abraham's the father of many. You know, he's of many nations with an S. And I love it because Abram means the father of none, but Abraham, the father of many. God changed the name. God can change some things. Things that we don't think can be changed because maybe they've been that way forever, for always. God is able to change the impossible. I thought about spiritual fathers. You know, when Jesus was alive and he went to Pharisees and Sadducees, they referred to the men of old that had led the nation. They call them fathers of the nation, fathers of their faith. Elijah and Elisha and so on. And they had the mantle of fatherhood on them. And one I thought didn't have any children, John the Baptist. He didn't have any children. But how many spiritual children did John the Baptist have? One of our spiritual fathers, to be honored.
Yes.
Spiritual children. Jesus is our example. His relationship with his father has so much it can teach us, because you're talking about father-son relationship. In Hebrew, the Abba is translated father. You know, he always said Abba, father. I thought, what's that mean? I don't know, father, the truest father, I don't know. But when he said the word Abba means source, sustainer, and foundation. I'll say it again, source, sustainer, and foundation. Hebrew 1 says, who being the, he said that God, talking about being the sustainer, he upholds all things by the word of his power. The word of his power. I always think about the power of his word, but it said it opposite here. The word of his power. So he's able to sustain. Not only is he the source of us, like he did with Adam and so forth, but he's able to sustain us. God didn't just produce, he maintains. And the word progenitor. And this is, if it seems random, it's just because I'm tired and I had to do this at 3 o'clock this morning. If it doesn't roll, just please have a little grace for me. Progenitor. Pro means support, and genitor comes from genes, genetics. And when we say genes and genetics, we're talking about quality, personality, and type. Men, you give the family quality, personality, and type. It's in the genes. You know what? I'm reading these notes now. I already said that. So I'm running ahead of myself just because I've gone over my notes. It said God uses man to start nations.
Yes.
Because he is a progenitor.
Yes.
That's good.
The name Father is not a title or a name. It speaks of a function. The function of a position.
That's right.
And it says the position and function of the Father is to be honored.
Yes.
See Exodus 20:12. Remember, that's the first promise of you do this and you'll have long life. It came with a promise attached to that commandment. A father must earn the right to be honored. They like our Heavenly Father, are supposed to be the source, a sustainer, thank you. He's a financial covering and an emotional support. It is possible to dishonor the Father and then it becomes a curse. I thought about sons that have dishonored their father. What happens? They're dishonoring the root. What happens to the fruit when the root dies or is dishonored? The fruit dies. So it's a curse on yourself, really, when you dishonor the Father. Now listen, we all know we don't all have perfect fathers. My mother conceived me outside of wedlock after she was divorced from her first husband. And when she told this man she was pregnant, he said, sorry, I'm already committed to somebody else. I mean, he wasn't married, but he was going to marry someone else. And so I never had a father. And when I had my father, that my mother married, she married him when I was little. He adopted me. I never knew it. When I was a teenager, something happened between my mom and dad, and there was an offense. And my dad was very bitter against my mom. And he started drinking, and when he started drinking, he said, tell her the truth, tell her the truth. And I had no idea what he was talking about. I had no idea. And the mom says, you're adopted. Well, that was nothing to me. That was my daddy. You know what I'm saying? He was the only daddy I ever knew. So, but, at the teenagehood, it brought in that question mark of identity. So your identity's wrapped up into your father.
Right.
And so the enemy always is trying to undermine what God is trying to do.
Amen.
And when it says when you see a crisis on earth, it's the absence of a proper example of fatherhood. In other words, we're lacking a good example. And I said, in parens, look at the riots today. They had no father. There's no father to say, this is the way, walk ye in it. I'm going to be a model for you. Follow me as I follow the Lord. The example you are is the example that's going to be duplicated. Ask yourself, is that father a good model?
May I share something? May I? So, my mom brought me my dad. I had a really crappy biological father. And she brought him into my life. Well, I didn't like him very much. At all.
She used to hide under the bed when he was around.
I didn't like him, but I ran away from my biological father's home because he was very abusive. And they took me in. One night he told her, okay, so I had been going to Crystal's, and I'll speed this up, and I had been getting free game pieces because I wanted to win a VW bus. Wanted that so bad, but I never could win. So he, in the beginning, said, tell your mom we'll be back. We need to come back for almost 4 hours. He drove me to every Crystal's in Jacksonville and St. Augustine for a game piece to win that VW bus. I didn't, but I fell in love with him after that.
How about that?
So that's my daddy.
It's a good testimony.
Anyway,
Because he
so
cared.
I owed to her, but I also owed to him.
And he was the example of what a good father should be. Kudos.
Always has been.
And I wanted to say this to you, Jimmy, also. You gave Caleb a book, my nephew a book you sowed into him. It was a seed you sowed. And I appreciate that because you never know where a seed's going to go. You never know. But that showed your heart towards him, and I appreciate that so much. It's tough being a man, and women can make it tougher. When the man can't deliver, and most men have never been trained to produce. So they say to the woman, what do you want from me? I'm like, I'm growing weary, I'm growing tired. Or whatever. It's because they haven't been trained to produce. They don't know how to. There is pressure and tension. And because there has been no role model, men are saying, I am stuck. And then anger produces violence, and the cycle continues. Question, what do you do if there has been no role model? This question goes to women too. What if there had been no role model? Then God becomes your role model. You look to him.
Amen.
Matthew 5:48 says, "Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect." You can know a perfect father by looking at his son. Have you ever met a son and thought, oh, he just looks so neat and sharp and just stands up straight and he's so polite and stuff, and you feel like you've met the father a little bit because he got that from somewhere, from somebody. And we know there are exceptions to every rule. We know that sometimes a father dies and or is out of the picture and a woman, and God gives special grace and mercies for that. But today's Father's Day, we're speaking specifically about men. Jesus said in John 5:37, "He that's seen me has seen the Father." Now that's a role model. When you've seen me, you've seen my Father, you know. Or Ronnie could say that. You say that to about your Father. When they've seen you, they've seen your Father. What the Son does, says, and thinks is what the Father has projected. I'll read that again. What the Son does, says, and thinks is what the Father has projected. Here are some things men get from their Father: their identity, their work, their purpose, their heritage, their family, power, authority, legitimacy, and destiny, or a sense of their future. First, God gave man his image. I love this. Has been one of my favorite verses for a long time. Genesis 1:26. God said, "Let us make man in our image and after our likeness." First thing we got from our Father is our image. And you know what? If you ever look at somebody, oh my God, it looks just like his mom. It looks just like his daddy. We're always commenting about that new baby. It looks like that's a perfect little mix of both. Look at the hands, look at the feet, look at the eyes. Man must have a clear image of who he really is. Jesus got his message from his Father in everything that he said. I'll read that again. Jesus got his message from his Father in everything he said. In John 5:17, he said, "My Father worketh hitherto, and I work." And then he said, "The Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do." Amen. Whatever things he doeth, there also does the Son do likewise. Fathers struggle with manhood because they do not have an imitative model. Let me ask you a question, and I will just keep my eyes on my paper when I ask Ben, and I'm asking this to the men specifically. Can your children do in public everything you do in private, whether it's a secret thing or not? If they were to do it publicly, is it acceptable or is it a good thing? Ephesians 5:1 says, "Be ye imitators of God as dear children." Matthew 5:48 says, "Be ye perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect." And John 5:19 says, Jesus said, "The Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For whatsoever things he doeth, these also doeth the Son likewise." I had a situation that came up. It was a family situation came up yesterday with a phone call. And so I told Ronnie, I've just been praying about it. And I said, "You know what the Lord said?" And he said, "What?" I said, "Nothing. So therefore, I'm doing nothing. I'm going to keep my mouth out of it and just be quiet." Because I didn't hear the Father say anything. That's what we do. We go and then we imitate. And I'm trying to learn that. And you know, sometimes we act out of emotion. The natural man kicks in and boom, I'm in first, second, third gear before I even blink an eye because we default, you know. But I just wanted, in this case, I thought this is a serious situation. I want to have the mind of Christ. It's important to have the mind of Christ. And so his Father I didn't hear anything. He didn't say anything. He didn't give me clear directive. So you know what? Mom's the word. Sons do what they see their fathers do. Know anyone engaged or about to get married? I thought about you, Sierra, but this wasn't just for you. But it said, don't be thinking, "Ooh, he kisses good." Take a study on his father. Look a little deeper, study a little deeper, because what you're about to marry is a version of the dad. Because the son's going to be like the dad in some ways. So make sure you like the dad, because you're going to get a part of that. And maybe not exact, but some of that's going to come into live in your lap and be with you.
Oh, God.
Fathers provide heritage. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. I love it that he's going to give us everything in his kingdom. That's our heritage. Fathers, men, That's your heritage. The Father's going to give you everything of his kingdom. So you in turn, when you're talking to your children, guess what? They're going to get your kingdom. They're going to get your inheritance. They're going to get it. Everything you are and are going to be and have been, it's going to go to the children. And it's going to be passed down, replicated, and duplicated, and so on and so forth. Luke 22:29 says, I confer unto you a kingdom as my Father hath appointed unto me. So now Jesus has taken that same kingdom the Father imparted to him. He said, men, I'm giving it to you. That authority, that power, that sustainer, source, foundational, everything that I am, you're supposed to be now. I'm conferring it upon you. How about that? I wrote down confer means a gift, favor, honor, etc. Fathers create trust in their children. Remember when Jesus was on the cross, he said, into thy hands I commit my spirit. Everything I ever was, all or will ever be, I now commit it to you. Trust. He could have never done that outside of complete trust in the Father. Can your children commit their life to you? A true father is able to be trusted with the total life of his children. John 3:34 says, for he whom God hath sent speaketh the words of God. For God giveth not the Spirit by measure unto him. So God didn't say, I'm just going to give you just this much of the good part of me. I'm going to give you all of it. And that's where it comes very carefully. When you think about your father, you think about your fatherhood. The crap that you didn't like from your daddy, don't pass it down to your children. The thing that upset and dismantled your household, don't do it to yourself. Don't replicate your father. Say, Lord, I want to honor him as my father. I want to honor the position he held. You know, it took me years after I've learned that my father rejected my mother to have anything kind to say about him, because I was so bitter about my mama's hurt. But you know what? I wouldn't be standing here today if Daddy hadn't given seed.
That's right.
So I've learned to see the positive side of that. It might be the only thing good I got, you know what I'm saying? But I'm sorry. All right, thank you, Lord. But it took growing into maturity for me to come to that. It wasn't just there immediately in my mind.
That's good.
So give not the Spirit by measure unto him. So when you're depositing, don't withhold back. If there's a secret or a key to success in life, a drop of wisdom, please, by all means, sow it, because it could be the key to something wonderful. You know, Ken Browning, I shared the story yesterday, Ronnie. You weren't even around when I shared this, but Ken Browning tells a story. He and his son, when Ken was little, his daddy took him fishing, and he's the guy that started King's Way Fellowship originally. And it was like in the middle of the night, about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, he said he caught the biggest fish he's ever caught, ever. And his dad said, what time is it? And he said, it's whatever, 4:20 or whatever it is. He said, son, fishing, whatever the season is, our permit or whatever, doesn't start till tomorrow. You're going to have to throw that fish back. And he said it was still dark. He said, we're in the middle of nowhere. It's just me and my daddy. And he said, Daddy, this is the biggest fish I've ever caught. I can't put it back. And he said, son, you have to. We've got to have the blessing and walk in obedience.
Amen.
And his
Amen.
daddy made him put that fish back. And he said
Lord.
it broke his heart.
thought.
He said it broke his heart so much. He said, and he said no one was around to witness it. He said, but nobody will ever know. He says, yes, son,
God.
you'll know and I'll know. You have to put it back. And he made him put the fish back. He said, out of all the lessons my daddy ever taught me, that's the one. Because that's integrity. In the middle of nowhere, in the middle of nothing, his father taught him integrity. And that's the one thing he's carried out through life. And I love that story. If I never heard another thing about Ken Browning, that's a story worth sharing and worth repeating.
That's good.
Especially in Iowa.
So we see where Jesus trusted the Father, and the Father trusted the Son, because it says the Father provides work for the Son. And it says, teach your children to embrace work as honorable and good. Work is honorable and good. You know, remember that time where they couldn't get people to work because nobody wanted to work for minimum pay? I ain't going to work. I'll stay home rather than take that job because it's some minimum pay. And instead of saying, that's some money and some money's better than no money, It's an honorable job. I don't have to hang my head and not be seen. I can do this. They wouldn't do that. But you embrace it so that they can feel honorable and good about the work that they're doing.
Amen. I'll do it.
Jesus said in John 5:17, my Father worketh hitherto, and therefore I work. So what? That's the duplicate. His Father works, so he works. Father works, Son works, and so it goes.
Amen.
Lazy father,
Good.
lazy children. Complaining father, complaining children. Gambling father, gambling children. I didn't write this down, but I thought unfaithful father, unfaithful son. I'm just saying, you know, you teach him an example of a father who's not faithful to his wife, and that's there before the son's eyes. Guess what happens to the son? It's okay. You can cheat on your wife, your bride, whatever. And I had other examples. Let me see. I think I'm getting down to the end. No, I went too fast. Okay, I read that top part about complaining children and threw my sheet away, but I'm not through with that. It says work ethic is caught or taught. You know, and the only way to do it is to apply that. Now, we're not going to skimp out on 6 hours if you're supposed to work 8. We're going to do the full 8 because that's what, you know, it needs to happen. Hard-working fathers produce hard-working children. It says, let your children see the results. Seeing is believing. You know, what is it? A picture paints 1,000 words. Seeing is believing. That was hard work. It was like the time Ronnie worked, and you did, what did you dig a ditch or something and got $20 or something?
$10.
$10. But it produced something. It had something in it. You know what? He was proud of that. He could look at that and just say, I did all of that. That's labor intensive. Like you have no idea when he would point to that ditch. It says, John 17:4 says, I have finished the work which thou gavest me to do. He finished his work that his Father gave him to do, lacking nothing. He did it all. I love that. That's the example. Men to impart to children and children to receive and pass it on. You know, you've heard about this where fathers pass the business on to the children. And because they weren't properly instructed, the father failed to, I don't know, inspire the children, train them on them. Y'all have seen a business go belly up because they didn't get it. Right. It wasn't properly trained, brought up to do that, and that business was. Well, that's what men, you don't want to do that. And I've got one here. Let me see if I can find it. I'm looking for it. It's Ecclesiastes, but I don't know where I jumped over. I do want to read this thing from Ecclesiastes. Okay. Ecclesiastes 11 says, this is what I wrote in pen and highlighted. Here's a thought for you fathers to think on. Ecclesiastes 11 says, in the morning sow thy seed, and in the evening withhold not thy hand, for thou knowest not whether which shall prosper, either this or that, or whether they shall both prosper alike. And the thought was this, and this is just a thought. I know I've dropped the ball on this one. It said daytime is your regular job. That's your food, shelter, and clothing. You know, that's what provides the income for the family, fathers, men. And it says you cannot give your son that your job at the bank or something, maybe you worked at Union Camp in a supervisor position or whatever you do, that 30 years of experience. When you're ready to retire, you can't say, okay, son, come on, step in here. You're not in the position to give them that. So that time after work, when you're off at 5 or 6, from 6 o'clock or from 7 o'clock till midnight, that's the time that men get to begin a business that can be the inheritance of their children. And I was thinking about Aquavest, because that's what you're doing, John. You're working during the day to do food, shelter, and clothing. But Aquavest is the thing that you're building in the evenings or on your off time, so that you'll have an inheritance to pass on to your children. So that will be the thing that you give them. I thought about the giftings and the anointings. I thought about Robert's green thumb to grow things. You know, I thought about how you've got the two tied together because your job is your business. You know what I mean? And that's the training and skills that you can impart to someone and duplicate. You were talking about the gentleman that trained you. I mean, I thought about different people and their roles. I've seen Don Fleming come in early on a Wednesday night, and he's either talking to the grandchildren or picking up the grandchildren, doing something. He's being that example. I will be the man here. I'm going to show you where to go. I'm going to take an interest in you so that you can duplicate me. This is what grandfathers do, you know. And I've seen that about you, Don. And Harold, I know you don't have children, but I know you have spiritual children. I know you're always talking about the Lord. And I know you love your family. You know what I mean? I could say something about each one of you and go through, you know, something positive about all of you. And I appreciate it. But I'm just delivering the word here.
Amen.
Okay. Do something in your downtime. It needs to increase when your children take over. How many times have you seen a business fall when the children take it over? The father provides work for his son. Teach your children to embrace work as honorable and good. John 5:17. I've said it before. My Father hereto works and I work. Okay, now I'm back on board with everything. Going back to Ecclesiastes 11 that I just read. A good man doesn't just have a job, he has a business. Fathers transfer their credibility, their reputation, their judgment about how to weigh things and look, is this an honest deal? Is this a good trade? Like if you were trading a car, that's something a man would say, you got to look at this. You can't just kick the tires, you know, raise the hood. You know, this is things that you're going to be wanting to look for. That's stuff that's transferable knowledge. And that's just giving that as a small example of that. In John 5:22 it says, Father judges no man, but hath committed all judgment unto the Son. Is sometimes, I had a perfect example of this, and the last question is this, and I am done, baby. It says, how long are you going to work before you begin to trust your children? And I thought about Louis Sorto down in Tegucigalpa and, you know, Honduras, not whatever his hometown is. But for years, Louis built that ministry. And now he's gotten up in age. And he had many moons ago, this prophet prophesied that Danny, his son, would take over the ministry. And he always tucked it in the back of his mind, just waiting for that day. And that day must have come, because what happened was he got with Danny and he said, son, I'm ready to hand over the reins. I've trained you. You've watched my life. Behind the scenes, you've seen me live this walk. And I want to turn over the ministry to you now. And he turned it over to Danny Sorto. And I've loved watching it, because when you talk to Louis now, he said, no, don't talk to me, talk to Danny. I'm not the executive, you know what I mean? If Danny wants to talk to me about it, I'll listen to him, but all decisions are with him now. Everything, he turned it over. And I've never seen that up front and up close as personal as I did with Danny and Louis and Danny Sorto. And it really has blessed me. And Danny's ministry, and I don't know, it's just because he had such good training, if he has such a great anointing, but he's doubled what his dad did. And at first, this was something that nobody knew, because when Ronnie and I counseled with them, about 50% of the people that Louis Sorto had in his ministry left when Danny took over. Mm-hmm. Danny but the difference was this, from what I found out from after talking with them. Louis was always just a little, oh, you need a little money? He was pulling out and giving. Well, they always were coming around because of the giving. And so when Danny says, I don't have nothing to give, but I'm going to give you the word. We're going to train up. I'm going to be a father to you and all this. They were like, whoa, I'm done with this place. But a few stayed and they were unhappy. But Danny instantly felt like a failure, because he lost a lot of people. They weren't following. And I said, that's not the case, Danny. Had they stayed, the Bible says where there's division and strife, there's every evil work. They were looking for the handout. You need to let go of them, because what God has for you is not, they're wanting growth. They're wanting spiritual growth, and you're a spiritual father. And I said, don't worry about it. And now it's doubled, and it's tripling, and they've built so much and have so much going on. But there was that transition period when Louis saw it, Paul was going, you know, I've done so much, and now it looks like it's all for nothing. No, there's always in that transition period, there's going to be a shifting, and you know that shifting is unsettling, and give him a chance to make a few mistakes. People need that room. It's like a baby. You set them on the floor. Do they just take off walking that first time? No. How many times? Lord only knows how many times they fall down before they get real steady. They'll even catch themselves and do it again, and that's how it is when you're entrusting something. And it's hard to let go. Sometimes, especially when it's your baby, it was your birth idea. And it's like, time to let go now and just let the bird fly. Or whatever, it's like, wait, So, And I had just a few little things of men I've seen. Did y'all see this? It's been several years ago now. The son had a debilitating disease and was in a wheelchair. And the father, he wanted to run in a race that he couldn't run in. And so his daddy said, son, I'll go in your stead. And the dad was up in age and hadn't run since high school. But he began to work out, and he got in the competitions. And he takes his son. Like if it's a swimming thing, he puts his son in a raft, and he swims with it, pulling his son along, so that his son gets the title of it. And I thought, what an example of fatherhood. The father does like the marathons now, but who does he have in tow? So he has to be double shaped because he's taking the son with him. And the son doesn't have speech, but he types. And I thought, what a father. I mean, that's all I know of him, that little slice of that pie. But I got a feeling if he's doing that publicly, then he's doing a lot more privately that we never even see. And anyway, it blessed me. And I saw this one, it was a YouTube, and because I had asked, you know how you can Google father-son relationships or whatever. I think it might have been a South African gentleman. He's running how the legs are long, and he's doing the stretch, and he's going around the loop and around the loop. Well, he tore his Achilles tendon or whatever. It snapped in the back of his thigh, and he could barely walk. I mean, it was just really barely walk. And his father came out on the field, and there are people there to stop you. And he said, I'm his father. It's like, you better let me go and go to my son. And he goes to his son, and the son is devastated because he has practiced. And it's at the Olympic Games. I mean, it was like the big deal. I've worked so hard to get here, and now I'm busting my tendon. I can't finish. And the father said, yes, you will. Put his arm around him. And the son was he could barely put any pressure on it to put it on. And they were the last ones, of course, and they finished it, and a crowd of 65,000 people jumped to their feet because the father helped the son. And the last few feet, the son said, Daddy, let me do this. He said, okay. And then the son let him go, and he finished the last few feet by himself. And I thought, that's the father-son. And so maybe I'm done.